Hello, Southbridge. My name is David Adams. I'm the chairperson for the Planning and Development here in town. With me today is Rosemary Scrivens, who's the chairperson, or I'm sorry, the director of Economic Development and Planning.
Yes.
I want to thank you for taking your time out of your busy day to be with me today to discuss some important information about our town. The first thing we want to talk about today is we see a lot of construction happening at Central Street parking.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of give us an insight of what's happening over there, if you don't mind. Thank you.
The project is really to upgrade the Central Street parking lot. It is our kind of highest profile parking lot in town, although we have two others within pretty close proximity. But it is part of our Community Development Block Grant target area, which is the downtown. We used grant money to do a preliminary design I think it was in fiscal year 2013, 2014. And that was grant money again that paid for that. We did public hearings to get input, and we tweaked some of the design with that engineering firm. And then, whenever you use grant money, or even if it was the town's money, to do a preliminary design like that, you don't want that money to go to waste, and you don't want to wait too long before you actually implement it. So after working with all the department heads and town council, we decided to apply for a grant to actually do the final design for the upgrades to the parking lot and to do the construction, and we split it into two phases. So the first phase was funded in the fiscal year 17 CDBG grant, and so what you have seen so far is the construction for phase one, and then phase two will probably begin in spring of this year.
Right, so we're hoping to have phase two of that parking lot completed by the end of
the calendar year of 19.
So
yes.
19. So we should see some more progress happening in the springtime.
Mm-hmm.
CDBG, you talked about the grant money. How much is there an annual grant that we receive or we apply for? And can you talk a little bit about that specifically?
Yes.
How much we get?
Yes, I'd love
Thank
to.
you.
So Southbridge is considered one of the approximately 11 communities in the state that is considered to be a mini entitlement community in the CDBG program. What that means is our demographics are such, and our poverty rate and median household income are such, that we are pretty much eligible every year to apply for these funds that actually come from the source. The ultimate source is HUD, federal government agency, and it comes through the Department of Housing and Community Development in the state. And early every year, we're told by the state how much money we are eligible to apply for as one of the mini entitlement communities. So there's about 11 of us. And then what we do is we then do an analysis and figure out what projects we can pay for using that money, and that, how we can fit that into that dollar amount.
So once we finish up phase two, or we all finish up phase two here in town, from my understanding too, is the CDBG money, it goes to our central core of our town. In certain areas within our town, it can't be utilized for, let's say, a street on Eastford Road or something like that. It all has to be within a zoning area that is predetermined, correct?
Yes, so we have 4 target areas in town, and those target areas the town has to apply for, and there's quite a bit of work involved in getting them designated. So the town does our analysis based on the guidelines, we submit it, and then the state has to approve them. So they're either for, so the national objectives for this program have to be met in order for these target areas to be accepted as target areas, and for our projects to be eligible and to be funded. And those national objectives, the 2 main ones, are that we show that we have a problem with slum and blight, distressed properties. And so then we can use money that addresses that. And then the other national objective is helping low to moderate income households.
Okay, great. Let's go back to a little bit to Central Street parking itself. I've seen the blueprints on it, the engineering study, and I know it was part of the redevelopment authority a long time ago. I have an idea from the redevelopment authority. I've seen a lot of progress that's happened. Obviously, that is to do water pipes, sewer pipes in there. Hopefully, well, we'll start seeing the asphalt being placed in there come the springtime. What else is going to go in that parking lot itself?
So the first phase of this, it has the most elements, and it's the more expensive phase. So it required removing a lot of the old outsized trees. Ultimately is to repave it, but it's also to set up the spots so that they're standard sized. It was to fix the circulation so that when you entered on Central Street and you could easily and safely drive through to the other entrance exit on Hamilton Street. It was also to have pedestrian navigation safely through there. So they're putting sidewalks in there with kind of decorative paving. So a pedestrian walking around that area, except to go and get into their car, would always be on a sidewalk, so it makes it safer. It will be more aesthetically pleasing and a place that hopefully more people will feel comfortable walking through, being around. There's going to be some public areas, again, utilizing decorative pavers for some small outside, maybe entertainment, maybe a small farmer's market. There'll be some benches. There will be decorative lighting, ornamental lighting. So everything I just mentioned is happening this year, and next year will probably be mostly just about landscaping, bringing in all the new landscaping and probably finishing the actual ornamental light fixtures. Some of the electrical work will happen this year, and maybe some of those fixtures will be put in, but they'll all be completed next year along with the landscaping.
Okay, and I'm not sure if you mentioned there's a couple kiosks going up right on Hamilton and Central. I think that was one of the plans.
I don't.
Or maybe that got scrapped
Yeah,
through the time period.
Right. I
Okay.
don't think there's going to be kiosks, but that detail, I could be wrong. A couple of other important things I want to mention that you alluded to is the drainage is being fixed because that was not working correctly. And then there's a retaining wall.
The new retaining wall on
And
the
that's
side.
been
Yep.
completed. So they're making really good progress, but unfortunately you got to go backwards a little bit before you go forward. So it hasn't been the prettiest while they're working on it, and it's caused some inconveniences, but ultimately it will be a really nice place for the town and for visitors.
Well, I want to thank you, Rosemary, for taking the time out of the day again. Appreciate it. A lot of things are happening within this town, and we really do appreciate all the work that you and your team are doing for the town. And I want to thank Southbridge for tuning in. Thank you. Have a good day.
Thank you.